Welcome back to Unleash the Potential. We're here with Linsey Champa, and she is going to talk to us about the many field hockey battles of Eastern and moving into the college ranks. So, Linz, without further ado, let's talk a little bit. So what got you into field hockey? When did you start playing? Tell me a little bit about what
Okay, so I started playing field hockey in 3rd grade, and it was at this little roller skating rink, and they threw you in at every different position. I was in goalie pads, defense, offense, all around the field, and I kind of just grew into loving the sport. A couple of our family friends, the Moranos, who live close by to us, actually really introduced me into the game, and they were really my mentors at the beginning of my journey into playing field hockey, and they actually went to Eastern as well. And they really guided me into learning different skills and growing a passion for the sport. Their two oldest girls really impacted my play and really just showed me what it was like to transition from a mediocre sport into playing at a high school level and then transitioning to a college sport. They just really showed me what it was like to play.
Mm-hmm. How much older were they?
So they were probably, when I was a freshman in high school, they were seniors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to play.
Oh yeah, I actually played, so the oldest was already out of high school, and then Maddie Morano, who was a senior when I was a freshman. I was able to watch her play. Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. And then when you were kind of coming up, following their, not leadership, but their, mentorship, or however you look at, what were your goals kind of, from when you started playing, in the 3rd grade to what was your goals then? How did that kind of...
Yeah, so I started out playing as just like a fun sport, just to try it out. I mean, I asked my mom, I wanted to play soccer and field hockey and cheerleading and every sport I could possibly play when I was younger. And I just chose field hockey out of just my love for it. And when I started playing more into my middle school years, it was funny because there were 2 teams, and one team all my friends were on, and then there was a team of upperclassmen, and I actually was put on the upperclassmen team, and I remember arguing with my mom about why I could not play with my friends, like why I couldn't stay on that team, and those coaches saw something in me to put on that higher team, and it really just upgraded from there, and I really just enhanced my play and was able to learn so much from them, and I was able to really grow as a team and be able to transition into high school.
So that's cool. So you were put to the higher team, and because growing up I played ice, and I remember being friends with a certain group and loving playing for that team, but they were not good enough.
No.
So my dad forced me to go play for the team that was way better. Was way. And so how did you take to so that's kind of cool. So what was your so being forced into not playing with your friends, right? Because this is a sport that you're doing because you love, you have fun with, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was a sport that it was something fun at that time that I just wanted to do because my friends were doing it and we were just all having a good time playing. And my dad was a really big advocate for me enhancing my play, and I would be going to clinics Saturday mornings at 8 in the morning, and I would dread going. And honestly, if he never put me through those camps, I don't know where I would be today, because I'm so grateful that I was able to play at those levels and with such coaches that were able to give me the skills to now play at a collegiate level. I didn't know the impact that he was putting upon me when he was throwing me into those things that I dreaded going to.
Why can't I sleep in?
I know. was that girl. I just kind of wanted to have fun doing it, and I didn't realize at the time like how much I would grow into playing at such a higher level and be able to, you know.
That's awesome. So now, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but if you could help me out here a little bit. So you're from Hamilton, right?
Yes.
But you went to Eastern.
Yeah.
So how was the choice? Was field hockey the reason why you went to Eastern, or how was the?
I've actually been asked this question many, many times. Coming from a small Catholic school, honestly, I would have went to St. Joseph High School and played there and had a good time. I wouldn't have really gone anywhere in my future career because it wasn't a high school that was known really, and honestly they played on grass, and it was more so just a sport to take your mind off schoolwork and play. And when I learned about Eastern and the program, I had been training with Coach Heilig since I was little, and she knew who I was, and she kind of really just like pushed me into playing for her team because she saw something in me and wanted me to come play for their program. And I believe that Eastern is a wonderfully academic place to further your high school career at. And I think that it was a balance between the academic and athletic side, because I was receiving a wonderful education and I was making so many new friends, and as if I would have went to my Catholic school that was the next level from my middle school. And I was able to just really play for a team that was going to produce field hockey players who could play at the collegiate level, and I wasn't going to get that at St. Joseph High School.
Right.
You know?
Well, knowing the history, Eastern has won a lot of championships in field hockey since like the 90s.
Absolutely.
So, kind of touched on that a little bit. The first time they lost,
Mm-hmm.
you were a part of the team.
Yes.
Right? How was that?
Well, being on the team is a difference between actually playing and then having the aptitude to stay on the sidelines and cheer for your team and be there for them when they're in that level of like doubt and insecurity about like losing against a team that they haven't lost to in years. And I was the person that was on the sidelines, and I wasn't able to be on the field helping my team. And even though I wasn't on the field, I was still able to feel that level of emotion when they came off, and everyone was just hanging their heads so low because they just were in awe that this had happened. Like, we couldn't believe it. It was like utter shock, and I was able to be there for my team, and I felt like responsibility to keep their spirits lifted, because even though I wasn't on the field, I had to be there in every way to push their spirits back up and know that we are Eastern Field Hockey. Like, our next season is going to be even better.
Well, can you touch on this? So what happened with you that season that you were?
Yeah, so I was out my freshman and my junior year because of 2 ACL injuries, and it was one of the most difficult recoveries that I've ever endured physically and mentally. It really took a lot of strength in me to come back and want to play again, because coming back from something like that is definitely something that you have to mentally push through to know that like you want to try stepping back out on the field where everything was taken away from you at one point, and your hopes, your dreams, everything. I mean, the second time that I tore my ACL, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this again.
So, second time, same knee or opposite knee?
Opposite knees. Both. I did both of them. Coming back my junior year, obviously I didn't play as much my senior year because of difficulty recuperating and getting back into playing. It's not something that you could just pick up a stick and start doing whatever you want to do. And you have to just train your body. You have to get back into shape. You have to start lifting. You have to practice. My dad would make me do 100 pulls each night by my bed. I would bring my stick into my room and I would just fiddle with it. And until I got that strength back, I wasn't playing as much as I would like. And it took a toll on me, but I knew what was best for my team. So I was there in every way for them off the field.
That's awesome. How about the mental side of that? So how was the mental side of that? I mean, was that kind of, how did you feel? Because physically, again, there's often people get back, they'll do the rehab, they'll do different things that way, but I feel like the mental side is often the hardest part too.
I did. So my freshman year, I did it probably at the end of my 8th grade year, and then I was out for my summer and my entire first season playing at Eastern. And I was kind of just in a spirited mind at that point, and I just wanted to get back into playing. I was excited, I was ready, had a determined mindset. And my sophomore year, I was able to play. I didn't play on varsity, I was on JV, but I was able to get a stick back in my hand, and I just knew that this is what I was supposed to be doing. And then when I was playing at a club team tournament, that's when I did it the second time. And the fact that I was playing, the first time I tore my ACL actually was in the gym, and I was just shuffling and I tore it. And the second time was actually on the field, and that really took a toll on me because I just knew from that point on all the obstacles I was going to have to go through. I knew what I was going to have to do again because I had done it already, and it wasn't something that was very easy for me to process. That year was the year that I was supposed to be recruited, that I was supposed to be on a team, I was supposed to be handpicked and to be placed on the team where I was going to be able to future my my athletic career. And that wasn't going to happen, and it really, really took a toll on my mind because I wasn't able to pursue what I loved, and I didn't know where I was going to go in my future. My hopes and dreams of playing D1 field hockey, I didn't know if they existed anymore.
That's tough. That's so what was so especially that year that you're supposed to get recruited, so what kind of, because I'm going to tell you right now, you trained here this past summer, and then you train, it is awesome. Your focus, your determination, there's not a lot of people that train the way you do. So I guess, so what was it that that junior year, right, when you know that you're supposed to be getting recruited and all that kind of stuff, what made you train as hard as you did and get back into it?
Honestly, my dad was a really big part of my process into wanting to play again. He pushed me to come here and build myself back up so I could be the best player that I could be. Awesome. He was always the one that was supporting me and pushing me, as well as my mom, who is always asking me, how was the workout? What did you do? They're so invested in my life, and I'm so grateful for that. As soon as I came back, I was definitely weary at first to step back out on the field. It's not something that's very settling to know. Last time I was out here, I was just on the ground crying, and I had a brace, and I was able to come out and adjust to playing again, which wasn't easy because I had to not live in the fear that it was going to happen again. You have to just move past it, because honestly, you can tear your ACL at any point. I was at the gym, for God's sakes, and I did it. Who would have thought, And I had to really recuperate myself into not fearing that I was going to do the same thing again, and I had to just play the way I knew how to play. I just had to believe in myself, and I just came back here with a mindset of tenacity and perseverance, and I really just push myself because I knew the player that I could become.
That's awesome. So would you say the support is really what had you kind of push it through and not thinking, because it takes you in the hard, that could take you to a really, really hard place, right? Like it's a dark place, like that's, so, and it's so the support was what really got you through that, or is there something else also that kind of was helpful there, or is that pretty much would you say support?
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand with like yourself having to push yourself out of that dark place and wanting to come here and wake up and go work out in the morning. But I think a big part of it is calling my dad after every workout, that after I come here, and telling him about it, and him telling me like, I knew this, you had it in you, you know, I knew that this was, you were destined for this. Like a huge part of it is occupying yourself with not thinking about what could happen, but putting yourself in the moment and being the best person that you can be.
That's awesome. That's really cool, because it's something that you know, I think so many people worry about, like, the fear of what if this happens, or if that happens, or what if this doesn't happen, or whatever the deal is there. But the only thing that you can control is what you can control.
Absolutely.
Right? So like, you can't control what the schools are going to think, what the scouts are going to think, what the coaches are going to think. You can only control that you're going to get up, you're going to do your workout, you're going to focus on what you can do for your skills. And
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
awesome.
My sophomore year, when I came back from my first injury, I was thrown into clinics and different scouting opportunities, and I had a coach who was like, we want you on our team, we want you. And my junior year, tearing my ACL again, I told her about it, I informed her about I was going to work as hard as I could to come back from this. And when I went and showed at a clinic again at the same school, she kind of had a different mindset and, you know, lost interest, and that really took a toll, because I was like, why did something like this have to happen to me, you know? Like, why was I the person that had to go through this twice? And it was really hard for me to understand that. Like, I couldn't understand why that the world had to put someone who was working as hard as they could academically and working their body to the most to put themselves out there, and then they have to just go through this heartbreak again. And after that happened, you know, I just had to remind myself that, like, I needed to put myself out there again, and I couldn't go back down into a dark place where I knew that I wasn't going to succeed. You know, I couldn't envision myself not playing field hockey in college, because that was my dream. You know, I wanted to do that since I took a stick in my hand, you know, like it was just something that I really felt I needed to have in my life.
That's awesome. That's really cool, because like I said, it's really nice that, you know, because now coming back to what we were talking about was, you know, you were on the team that, you know, that lost the first time, right? And you were injured. So you found your way, because, you know, so with that team, do you want to maybe touch on like how you felt, like how the girls were on the team, how you were as a group, how you were as individuals, and kind of how, you know, what, because I know a couple times that we've talked in the past that you mentioned that you just wanted to do everything you possibly could to you know, be a part, and how, so I just think that's also, like, everything we just talked about, what you were dealing with personally, but at the same time you still wanted to be there for your teammates, and so how was that?
Yeah, I went to every practice, every workout, every game, every activity that team did. I was there for it all. Injured. I was sitting there. I collected balls, I got water, I aligned everyone's bags on game day, I got them whatever they needed, towels, stick wrap, or anything they needed. And it was hard for me to watch them just run back out on the field, and that's something I wanted to just run back out on the field. Right. But, you know, I just had to keep my spirits high and know that I needed to do everything I possibly could to help my teammates out. And I think that our team definitely had a close bond. We did a lot of activities outside of field hockey, mini golfing. We had a lot of these minute to win it games we would do in the locker room, and that was always really fun. I think that not.
So what is minute to win it?
Oh, it's like these fun little games. Like you have these activities that you have to do under a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Like
as a team.
As a team, yeah. You kind of we were in little groups,
Mm-hmm.
but our coach would give us prizes at the end of whoever won that little
Nice.
activity, and that's a fun memory that I have of the team.
That's really cool.
And as much as I think that we were definitely a team who bonded a lot, I think that the girls who played definitely had a different type of closeness on the field that I didn't have and that I longed to have. I love those girls, and I'm so happy to see how far they've gone in their college careers today. And but my team now, I think that being on the field and being able to actually play at Montclair, I was able to feel that closeness that I didn't have at Eastern, that I longed to, wished that I could step on the field and just feel the bond that each and every girl had when we passed and dribbled and did everything we could to get that ball in the net, and I didn't have that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and that's the thing. It's tough because it's something that, again, you're battling,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to, but to experience it, you have to be able to kind of jump into it, and that's the thing. So how would you transition? So your transition from all right, so senior year, you're back out. You kind of mentioned how your coach kind of found you, and how you kind of found where you're going to go next.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your
I
choice?
had definitely a variety of schools that were looking at me. Some were D1, some were D2, some were D3, and a really big part of my process was knowing that I wasn't meant to play D1 hockey. I think that a lot of athletes who are in that process of picking schools are really caught up in playing that D1 sport and being on the team where whatever sport you're playing is attached to your body. D1 field hockey players, their stick is another arm. And I was really hard for me to learn and understand that was not where I was supposed to be, and I wanted it so bad. I wanted to play at that D1 level, and it was not for me. Once I understood that, I was able to open my mind up to D3 schools such as Montclair, and I was able to see the potential and greatness they had to succeed in the higher levels of play with certain girls on the team. I think that we have formed a bond unlike Eastern that has fantastic players on the team who are exceptional field hockey players. But at Montclair, we might not have the most amazing players who could play in the Olympics, but girls who are willing to work as hard as they possibly can to get that ball in the net every time and win every game that we possibly have during the season. We dance in the locker rooms, we sing and do all these fun activities outside of field hockey that really just put us in such a great mindset when we play.
That's awesome. So so you went to Montclair, and then now how was this past season for you? So you got to got to play now,
yes.
right? You finally got to play.
I finally, yes.
Finally got to play. So
I got to that point.
So you got to dance. You got to. So how do you see yourself, moving forward? How do you see the years going?
I came into Montclair with a strong mindset that I was going to start. I wanted to be on that field so bad, and I got there. I started. Majority of the games, honestly, there was maybe only 3 that I didn't, and during those 3 games I realized I'm not supposed to be on the sideline anymore. This is not where my place is, and I worked my hardest to get my butt back on that field, and I think that being able to now start, not even play, but start on that field, when we walk out and you're announced, when I hear my name over that loudspeaker, it's an incredible feeling. It's amazing, to know that I was being recognized for the amount of hard work and energy and tenacity that I had, all through my high school experience, throughout every summer, every workout that I was doing, I made it. Like, I was here, and it was such an amazing feeling to know, like, that these girls appreciated, my coach appreciated how hard I worked to be here, and that I wanted to win every game. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool, because I think so often people chase the label necessarily, right? And I think it's great that you've been able to, find your peace and still love, right? Not just find your peace, or not just be okay with something, but find your peace and still love the game. Because I'm going to tell you, like, as hard as you work your butt off every single time. Like, all I ever see from you is just, there is nothing but tenacity with you. And it's great because you can see there's a desire, there's a love for it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's a lot of times everyone's so worried about, taking it to the next level that they forget about
the foundation. Like, they forget about what it means to actually love to play the sport. And I think that once I understood that, and I now play at a D3 level, I knew that if I would have went to a D1 school, I would not have been the player I am today. I would not have been on that field where I was supposed to be. I would have been on that bench. And I know for a fact that I could name a handful of girls who once played at a D1 school and are now at a D3 level of play, and they love their life and the girls who they're playing with. And I think that really shows you that you have to take into consideration the balance you want to have in college, the balance between having a social life, friends, going out to lunch, and also playing the sport that you love day and night. And I think that you really have to understand and know what it means to have that balance.
So, okay, transitioning to that for a second. So what does Linsey's schedule look like?
Yeah.
When you're at school, right? So between, finding social life, I should probably start with schooling. So with schooling, right?
Yeah.
Studying, classes, projects, meetings, anything extra there. You have the team, practices, games, right? And then having some kind of social life, right? Yeah. So what does that look like for you? Yeah,
during my fall season, it was definitely a lot to handle. I was very overwhelmed at first, trying to juggle everything, but I honestly got into a great routine of going to class in the morning. We would have lift maybe throughout the day, and then we would go to a practice at night, have our fun time on the weekends, maybe at night sometimes when we would have practice earlier in the morning. We would hang out at night, paint our nails, watch movies. We would have that time to just engage with one another off the field, and I think it turned into a great schedule for me because I was able to stay on a routine, and I was able to just live in that moment and not be worried about so many different things. I was able to just focus on my schoolwork, and then I would go and get my mind off it, get a stick in hand, and I would be able to just play.
So how long did it take you to kind of find that transition? You got up there, right?
Yeah.
So you got to school. How long did it take you to kind of get into a groove? Or, was it an easy, quick thing for you, or was it?
It was probably at first, throughout preseason, honestly, the beginning of August, having practice twice a day kind of keeps your mind pretty occupied. You kind of just go from day to day playing, and it's not really schoolwork and everything else built on top of it yet. But once we transitioned into actually living college life, honestly, it was a little difficult. I miss my mom a lot. I miss my dogs, and I was able to, though, really focus on making sure that I had a routine, because that really helped me in maintaining not getting so overwhelmed. And I was able to really easily be able to know my daily schedule and be able to just relax and know what was going to be each day. And that was pretty easy of a transition for me. It'll be interesting in the spring because we only have practices maybe 3 times a week, but we have a lot of conditioning and lifting that we have to be doing. But I think it'll be nice because coming from a winter break where yes, I'm lifting and working out, but not so much playing, you kind of transition back into it. And on top of academics, they say in the spring is where you kind of really buckle down, because it's your time where you're not doing field hockey 24/7. You kind of, it's in spurts, and you really can focus on your academics, and you can really invest your time in figuring out what you want to do with your life besides playing field hockey, which will be over soon. 4 years, it'll fly by. I just had my banquet for my fall season, and I never would imagine the amount of closeness I felt with the seniors. And like the fact that they're leaving, I don't know what it's going to be like next year. Like, they made such an impact on and off the field. I love those girls, and it'll be really interesting to see how me stepping possibly into a leadership role, even though I'm just a freshman. Like, I'm one of 7 freshmen. There's another freshman who does play, but stepping onto that role of starting in a game, and I think that really played an impact. And even passing the fitness test, not everyone passed, and I was able to really just show the girls who I was as a player.
That's awesome. It's cool. So I heard about a pump-up speech that you gave. Do you remember the speech?
I'm thinking she was talking about my captain speech.
But maybe that was what it was.
And that speech was pretty powerful for me. I really was able to show my team that I wanted to step into that role. I long to be able to lead my team to greatness. Like, I love encouraging and making sure every one of those girls is working as hard as they can out there, keeping everyone accountable, but making sure we're having a balance of fun out there and laughter. And I think that there needs to be that on the team, because if you're all work, you have to make sure that you're enjoying what you're doing still. And I think that comes with a captain. They have to be able to know how to balance out each day-to-day's encounters and obstacles and losing and winning. And I would love to be that person one day on my team. I was able to get a piece of it my senior year. Even though I wasn't playing, I truly think that I impacted some of those girls. I was able to show them what it felt like to be on the sidelines and not get to play, and then coming back from so many setbacks, and really showing them what it means to be passionate about something and stay with something for as many setbacks as you're going to get. You are just being set up for comebacks.
Yeah, I think you definitely came through on that message, because like I said, I've heard a few times about your pump-up speech, and I just the way that it really is. So that's awesome. All right, well, we're coming to the end right now. So 2 things. The last 2 things I want to ask you. One, easy stuff. Well, easy stuff. Well, I guess you'll let me know. So one. So for the many people that, I've heard people say, well, the money that you put into the sport, you could have just put that away for college, right? But I feel like there's many people that just don't realize how many lessons that are learned from the kids, from every athlete that plays a sport growing up, all the lessons and the things that they get from playing that sport. So yes, there's a lot of money put into it, but you can't, the lessons that are learned from there, there's just no way to learn unless you've been a part of a team.
Absolutely. And
you've touched on a lot of different parts of it, but where do you feel like everything you kind of went through from high school, middle school, right? Everything you've gone through in your field hockey career, in your athletic career, how has that set you up for, moving forward, and at the same time for when you do 4 years from now, when you move into the real world?
Yeah, I think that my dad really showed me that through all my injuries, those were preparing me for every obstacle that I was going to encounter, every real world experience, I found a piece from my process in recovering from my injury that I'm able to recover, and I was able to produce a level of play that I could play at that collegiate level. And I think that when I transitioned into the real world, I'm really going to be able to understand what it means to get shut down and get knocked out, and I'm able to recover quickly, more so than other people who haven't been through things that I haven't been through that physical and mental state of mind when you're recovering from such a detrimental injury. And I think that when I'm having those interviews for jobs and when I'm doing things in the real world, I'm going to be able to put it into perspective of that if I get knocked down, I'm going to just get right back on my feet, and I'm going to be able to understand that everything happens for a reason. I live by that, and I think that statement is, you're able to put that into so many different scenarios, and you're able to just know that whatever happens to you, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you with that. I think that's great. All right, and then the final thing, I think we kind of touched on it. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but so I know how your parents have influenced you, right? Mm-hmm. So you're obviously welcome to say them as well. But coaching-wise, who is made, from a coaching perspective, who is made, like, and it could be it's like off the top of your head, as I say coaching, right? Who do you think of? Who is kind of reflected on you, and who would you want to give some love to?
Absolutely Coach Heilig. My high school coach, she, as much as she put us through every run, every get on the track, that just made me into the best player that I could be. Every time that she yelled at us, it was out of love, out of the fact that she just wanted us to play, and she knew the potential that we held inside of us, and I believe that she set me up for greatness. I mean, I know that after every conversation I've had with her, every evaluation of myself, she was doing that out of the fact that she knew who I was as a player on the inside, even though I wasn't able to play at that time. And she knew that I was going to be someone when I was in college. And she recommended Montclair to me actually as a perfect fit. And I'm so grateful that she was able to give me that wisdom and be able to make me into the player I am today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Lins, thank you so much for coming out today. A lot of fun. Is there anything that you would like is there anything that we maybe missed, or is there anything you'd like to say, or are we good to go?
No, honestly, I think my biggest thing is that everything happens for a reason. I'm so faithful to that, and I really truly believe that everyone needs to remember that in their life and know that when you're set back, those setbacks are only the path for a comeback.
I love it.
So, yeah.
You're the best. Lins.
Yep, absolutely.